how did you feel the defense improved as the game went on?
Well, when you look at the first period, we actually felt like we had a real good start.
Yeah.
I thought we were playing on our toes. We were controlling territory. We had some looks in the offensive zone. We didn't give up a shot on goal till the first goal scored with 7 minutes plus. And so we go almost 13 minutes. We don't give up a shot on goal in the first period. So, that would suggest, I think, that we had the start that we were looking for. We felt like we were playing pretty well, I was talking to the coaches on the bench, they scored that first goal and then, they get the next one, and we felt on the bench that we were playing pretty well. There were a couple of breakdowns that ended up in the back of our net. I contemplated calling a timeout, but we didn't feel like it was necessary based on the way the group was playing. So we just try to hang in there to the end of the period. So I'm not sure that things changed. I felt like the way we started the game, certainly the guys just from a mindset or a preparation standpoint, I think we were ready from the drop of the puck.
Is that why you decided to keep Igor in the net, or was that something that you would have?
Yeah, I didn't feel like any of the goals scored were bad goals. They were, I don't know, they were a little bit fluky on how some of them went in. I mean, give Montreal credit; they've got an opportunistic group; they can score, and but I don't think it wasn't like I thought. I never got the feeling behind the bench that, geez, it just wasn't Chesty's night or he didn't have it. Here's what I'll tell you. It's 3-0. We're killing the penalty. He makes a big save on that penalty kill to keep it at 3-0. If he doesn't make that save, it's 4-0. We end up getting a power play or whatever it was. We score, and then Brett gets the penalty shot goal, and now it's 3-2. The difference between 4-0 and 3-1 is huge, and that's what Chesty's capable of. I never got the feeling that he wasn't on his game. I thought he was locked in. I think Montreal, give them credit, they were opportunistic on the looks they got. I didn't think they got a lot of them, but the ones that they got, they finished. And so I give the guys a lot of credit. I think Chesty included. Sometimes as a goalie, I know he takes a lot of pride in keeping the puck out of the net. When they go in like that, sometimes your emotions can get the best of you, but he did a terrific job just staying focused and being ready to make that next save for us.
JT has come up big for you in a few spots now. Just how crucial is that to get that kind of contribution from your captain?
Yeah, I'm thrilled for him. I know what it means to him, for this team to have success, and he takes a lot of ownership for it. And so, this early part of the season, I feel like he's had moments when he's played extremely well for us, and the puck hasn't gone in the net for him. I thought he had a really strong game tonight, obviously, and the type of goals that he scored, the 2 goals that he scored, for me, a prototypical JT Miller hockey. One's at the blue paint, where he's, he plays his power game, and then on the overtime winner is, that one-timer is a missile. That's a goal scorer's goal, and that's what he's capable of. He's got a heavy shot, and so, we'd like to try to get him in situations where he can use that more often. But that overtime winner was certainly an indication of what he's capable of. So, I'm sure scoring a couple of goals, he's going to feel good about that, as he should. He's such an important player for us.
How big of a jolt did it give your guys to have the lava goal and the premier goal so quickly going into the break?
Well, it's huge. You go into the period, at the end of the period, 3-2, as opposed to 3-0 or 3-1. It's a big difference, right? And once again, when you think about how the game was played out, we felt like we were playing pretty well. We were down 3-0. We climb back into it. We make it 3-2. They go out and make it 4-2 at the beginning of the second period. And we just stayed with it. We just kept digging in, and I think that's a credit to the players and just their stick-to-itiveness, their resilience, just to fight through some of the adversity. There was a lot of hockey left, and that's what we were talking about on the bench. That's what we talked about in between periods. Let's just, let's not get overwhelmed here. Let's just keep playing the game. Let's work for the next goal. And that's what they did. And those moments, I think, they're great opportunities for a group to grow and become a team where, you face those types of adversities and you overcome them. I think that helps to galvanize a group. And it also provides evidence for our team that if we get in those situations again, what we're capable of. And so, to go down 3-0, climb back in to make it a 1-goal game, then they get another goal. Now we get another 2-goal deficit, and to stick with that through the process, I think is a testament to the character of our leadership that we have in our room, and just the resilience of the players.
You played Gabriov close to 28 minutes tonight. You had the big shorthanded play where you guys were on the power play and they had a shorthanded rush. He breaks up the rush. Just how pleased are you with where his game is at?
Well, we're thrilled, obviously. He's been a big part of our team on both sides of the puck. Obviously we were well aware of his defensive capabilities, and that was a big reason why, he was attractive for us, but what he's produced offensively for us, not just the goals he scored, but the way he's active off the offensive blue line, his ability to transition the puck, things of that nature to help us, generate offense both off the rush and in zone, I think has been a really welcome addition. And he's had a great start to the season for us. When he was paired with Foxy, obviously we really liked that pair. We thought that our hope was when we signed him was that, he would be complementary to Foxy. And that certainly has played itself out here in this early part of the season.
I'm curious for you personally, that's there hasn't been many games like that this year. And for you, is it more stressful in a 5-4 game or a 1-0 game where no pucks are going in? Like, what's more stressful for you?
I don't know. I don't really look at it as stressful. You're in the heat of the battle. It's just, it's hockey, and that's what we sign up for. So I love being in the battle. I just think it's, let's just say it's the next best thing to play in, is coaching, and I just love being in the battle with the players. I don't really look at it as pressure. It is what it is. It's part of what we sign up for when we take these jobs. But I just like being in the battle with the guys and the other coaches, and trying to help the group find success.
Okay, your last one. You guys are 2-0-2 in your last 4 home games after the rough start. What's been the key to getting back on track at home?
Thanks for pointing that out.
2-0-2,
No,
it's good team.
Listen, I appreciate it. You guys, usually you're quick to point out the other side of it, so I really appreciate that. As I said, for me, we try to really focus on the process more than anything. Results matter without question, but you can't always control the results. What you can control is the process. The process of playing the game the right way, of generating offense, of defending against our opponents, things of that nature. And as I said, there was a stretch of games in the early part of the season where we felt really good about our game and we weren't getting the results. And I've said this to you guys on a number of occasions. I'll say it one more time. We produced offense, we just didn't score. I think now we're scoring. And so that's probably the biggest difference. I think the guys have a pretty good understanding that when we put a certain game in the ice, that game gives us the best chance to win. And I think they've embraced that identity, so to speak, and just being hard to play against, playing more of a north-south game, making sure we manage the puck between the blue lines, making a commitment to playing defense and the details around that. All those things I think are important elements of the identity we're trying to build here. And I think the guys, to their credit, have embraced that message. And so, as I said, we're trying to focus on the process every day. We're trying to get better every day, just move the needle. And that's the approach that we've taken. It's not that we found this revolutionary solution to why we've been able to win at home now. We believed if we continued to play the game a certain way that the results would follow.